name is Belinda Dovston and welcome to the I Ching Cafe, our first weekly overview for October, for the week commencing the 3rd of October 2022. So before we get into what this week is asking us to pay attention to, let's just jump back into last week, into Hexagram 48, the well, and we also had the small tames, Hexagram 9. We had this changing line about the well being boggy and muddy starting off the week. Oh my goodness, I felt so stuck and bogged down at the beginning of last week, and I thought, oh, this changing line is just so real for me. Didn't really feel the second changing line, but the first one, oh, stuck in the bottom of that muddy well. So did that connect for you? Or perhaps Hexagram 9, the small accumulates or the small tames, I got stuck, more boggy well, stuck in a pile of paperwork and slips and receipts and accounting transactions and trying to allocate all these little tiny micro things that needed to be sorted out. Oh, I really felt the importance of these small things, but oh, goodness me, the small things definitely tamed me last week. How was it for you? Okay, so let us have a look. What is the I Ching asking us to pay attention to as we head into this first week, full week of I Ching goodness for the month of October? And so we start the week, our first hexagram or flow is very interesting because it ties to last month's overview, is Hexagram 40, Deliverance. Okay, so maybe we weren't quite yet done with the energy of deliverance from the whole of September. If you cast your mind back, we had lots of changing lines and we have a repeat changing line this week. So there's something that is still finishing. I just love it when these little cycles come in. It's like, okay, we had this for September, and our first weekly is we just wrap up September. There's a little bit of an overflow, right? Our first week has got a kind of tidying up a little bit of that energy. So let's recap. Deliverance. This is the ability or the process of us overcoming a real big challenge. I always use this example of you've been at sea in a big storm. Think about Hurricane Ian that has devastated, parts of our world. And we've been at the storm, right? Thrashed around. And it's now the next day. And there's kind of carnage and there's things and flotsam all over the beach. And we're washed up, but we're alive. We have got through this hurricane. And for those of you who are listening or watching, who are in the Florida area, our hearts are with you as you go through this deliverance process. You've got through this hectic storm, right? And anywhere in the world where there's hurricanes and typhoons, you have this experience of this thing slamming and then this really, really tough experience. And then, we emerge out of it. We get through it and we kind of pick up the pieces and work out the damage and what's happened and how we're going to now move forward. Okay, so this hexagram really speaks to that idea of having gone through that dark night, of having survived. Perhaps there is some damage, but we're alive and we can now move on. We have been delivered from the challenge. Okay, for you, bearing in mind that we are carrying this energy from September, what is the thing that we are still being delivered from? What is this kind of closing loop of this energy of deliverance that is part of our lives? And that's what we need to pay attention to this week. What is the continuing theme that we're just closing off as we wrap up the energy that was with us for the whole of September? Now, we have one changing line this week, and interestingly enough, it is the last changing line we had from the whole month. So it's position 6. Only one changing line in the 6th position. Remember, we had 4, 5, 6, right? We had all these changing lines. So that last little changing line that was wrapping up in September is now with us for this week. A little tail end as that kind of little storm whips around and the little tail finishes off the job. It delivers us up from the challenge. If you remember, that changing line was the hawk on the high hill. Okay. The issue, the person of inferior nature that's in a superior position that's obstructing our final deliverance. Okay, so this could be an issue. This could be a person. The I Ching talks about it being a person that we see as a hawk, a symbol of an inferior person in a superior position. And our job is to take the bow and arrow, okay, and smite the issue, right? Remove the obstacle in our path. So there is one last thing, Okay, there's something blocking our way. There's some obstacle here that we haven't yet completed from September. And so this week is just wrapping that up, allowing us to just once and for all be delivered from this hawk on the high hill. Okay, our task is not to love the hawk or tolerate it. It's a negative issue that's in our way. We need to get rid of it. So it might not be a person, it might be an issue or a particular thing that's unresolved, and our task is to tackle it. Okay, not to love it, but to get rid of it. Okay, what is this negativity that we need to get rid of that's in our way? Terminate. Okay, all right, and we love birds. This is a symbolic story of smiting the hawk in the high hill. Okay, our second flow of change, bearing in mind this one unchanging line, is hexagram 64 before completion. So, I love this. I love this idea that we've had September's energy of deliverance. We have this repeat of this little changing line in deliverance, and then we have a completion energy. There's the deliverance into completion, okay? Something is finishing up, all right? Something is closing off, and we are being delivered from the cycle of difficulty. Yay! Okay, so hexagram 64 before completion is, although it's the physical last hexagram in the set of 64, it represents the step before completion. So we haven't yet completed. We're in the last few steps to completing. And it's quite an important part of the journey. We might be tempted to rush this little last few steps, right? And that's where we get ourselves into difficulty. If you ask mountain climbers, the last few steps from the summit are the most treacherous because you can see it and there's the risk of trying to rush it, okay? And then you stumble and you make mistakes because you're not taking your time and doing it properly and completing the cycle properly. So there is completion here. Our task, our strategy for this week is to complete things well, to build up our energy to the completion cycle, to start finishing things off and finish things well. Create order, start working towards completing the thing that's in front of us. Now, for all of us, there are different things that we are completing, and we have to pay attention to doing it well, okay? We have to start rallying our forces to kind of culminate and bring this whole thing in for a landing. So I really think that as we work with the energy of this week, we're going to become aware of this hawk on the high hill. If we are not yet aware of what is this person or thing that's obstructing our progress, this week gives us a second pass at it, allows us to take a shot again at the hawk if we missed in September, and to start bringing things in for a conclusion. And of course, the process of energy and the release of energy that happens when we complete things is extremely powerful. So what are you completing? What are you working towards? What are the planning steps you need to put in place as you get ready to make this crossing, this final crossing across the end of the cycle? Start planning, start getting ready, start doing your homework, and do that transition well. Don't rush it, don't miss steps, don't try and take shortcuts, do it properly. Okay, so an interesting week as we wrap up this hawk and we get rid of it once and for all. I wish you the best of luck with your deliverance and your completion and your proper last steps to the summit as we get to a new place together through the I Ching. Thank you so much for being here with me. As always, please like, share, and subscribe. Every comment, every like, every subscriber makes a huge difference to me. I really appreciate that. And of course, always look forward to seeing your comments and seeing you on the socials. Thank you so much, and I will see you soon.